Days of Our Lives. Shocking revelations await fans this week. Fans of the beloved daytime soap Days of Our Lives are in for quite an emotional roller coaster this week as the show promises surprises, heartfelt apologies, romantic reunions, and intriguing flashbacks. Let's dive into what you can expect on Tuesday and Wednesday's dramatic episodes. Tuesday, June 17th. Apologies, proposals, and family ties. This Tuesday, the spotlight shines on Chad DiMera, whose past mistakes catch up with him, leading to a much-needed apology. Chad, known for his complexity and charm, finds himself compelled to seek forgiveness from Kat Green. The depth of Chad's remorse could hint at the gravity of his past actions. Viewers might recall that Kat experienced deep hurt due to Chad's indiscretions. Will this apology help mend the broken bonds, or is it too late for Chad to rebuild the trust he shattered? But Chad's drama doesn't end there. Later in the week, he's set to spend quality time with his brothers EJ and Tony DiMera at the bistro. The brothers, often entangled in family power struggles and rivalries, find themselves sharing drinks, memories, and perhaps plotting their next moves. Fans love these DiMera brotherly scenes for the intriguing blend of camaraderie and subtle tension. Tony DiMera, portrayed again by the charismatic Theo Penglis, returns on Friday, June 20th, promising more excitement and nostalgia. Meanwhile, Brady Black, another Salem favorite, faces an emotional moment as he takes his daughter Rachel to the hospital. In a heartfelt scene, Rachel shares a tender hug with Marlena, reminding viewers of the deep familial connections that keep Days of Our Lives close to our hearts. Such touching moments highlight the strength and complexity of family relationships in Salem. Adding intrigue to Tuesday's episode, Gabby presents a mysterious offer to Hobby. What could this offer entail? Gabby's known for her shrewd business sense and cunning moves, so fans will eagerly speculate her true intentions. In an amusing yet poignant side story, Doug Williams reaches out to Leo Stark once again. Leo, known for his comedic timing and sharp wit, often brings both levity and unpredictability into Salem. Doug's appeal for help hints at another humorous escapade or perhaps a serious challenge that requires Leo's unique approach. As the younger residents of Salem prepare for significant life transitions, Tate Black and Holly Jonas find themselves reflecting on their high school journey. Holly, ambitious and adventurous, is considering attending college in Europe, signaling potential future storylines overseas. Tate, grounded and more traditional, eyes Salem University, showing a commitment to his roots and possibly setting up new adventures closer to home. Wednesday, June 18th. Nostalgic flashbacks and romantic reunions on Wednesday. Days of Our Lives will treat longtime viewers to special flashbacks of Tom and Alice Horton, beloved patriarch and matriarch of the Horton family. These newly filmed flashbacks promise to reveal hidden layers or revisit pivotal moments from Salem's past. Tom and Alice have been the heart and soul of Salem for generations, and these flashbacks could either unravel an unexpected family secret or serve as a touching tribute to the couple's lasting legacy. Loyal fans who have followed the show through decades will cherish these nostalgic scenes. Romance takes center stage as iconic couple Bo and Hope Brady enjoy a romantic reunion, igniting excitement among longtime viewers. After nearly a decade of separation, the pair find themselves back in each other's arms, rekindling their love and passion. In heartfelt and intimate scenes, Bo and Hope decide to leave Salem together, symbolizing a fresh start and a hopeful future. However, there's an underlying bittersweetness to their reunion, as viewers know Bo still needs time to heal fully. Yet, even a brief return of this legendary couple gives fans a deeply satisfying sense of closure. Many have rooted for Bo and Hope's happiness through countless challenges and separations, and their reunion feels like a well-deserved payoff after years of longing. What do you think? As you prepare to watch this week's episodes, how do you feel about these developments? Do you believe Chad's apology will be genuine and meaningful enough to earn forgiveness? What could Gabby's offer to Hobby be, and will it shake things up in Salem? How do you feel about Bo and Hope's romantic reunion and decision to leave Salem behind? Next, #A Night to Remember. Steve Johnson's retirement celebration in Salem, in the heart of Salem, a town steeped in history and secrets. The bistro glowed with warmth and anticipation on a crisp evening in June 2025. The occasion was no ordinary gathering. It was a surprise retirement party for Steve Johnson, a man whose name was synonymous with courage, grit, and redemption. For over 4 decades, Steve had been a cornerstone of Salem, a larger-than-life figure whose journey from a troubled past to a beloved hero had captivated the hearts of those around him. Tonight, his family and friends came together to honor his legacy, weaving a tapestry of memories, laughter, and tears that would linger in their hearts forever. ## a surprise that sparked joy. The bistro buzzed with excitement as Stephanie, Alex, Jack, and Jennifer huddled together, their faces alight with mischief. They had planned this evening with care, ensuring every detail was perfect for the man of the hour. As Steve and his devoted wife, Kayla, stepped through the door, the room erupted in a joyous cry of surprise. Steve, ever the stoic, froze for a moment, his weathered face softening into a rare, genuine smile. The sight of his loved ones gathered in his honor melted the edges of his guarded heart. Stephanie, Steve's daughter, had orchestrated the event with precision. Though she'd hoped to include Bo and Hope, Steve's longtime friends, they had politely declined, craving a quiet evening alone. A choice Steve respected, knowing the weight of their own storied past. Still, the room was filled with those who mattered most, and the air crackled with love and nostalgia. ## a handshake and a toast to the past. As the group settled around a warmly lit table, Alex, ever the earnest young man, extended a hand to Steve. His handshake was firm but tinged with awkwardness as he congratulated Steve on his retirement. "Salem won't be the same without you, Steve," Alex said, his voice earnest. The room chuckled as Jack, Steve's brother, leaned in with a playful jab. "Who's going to keep Salem safe now that Black Patch is closing up shop?" he teased, referring to Steve's private investigation agency, a beacon of justice in their tumultuous town. Steve leaned back, his single eye twinkling with memories. 40 years, he mused, his voice gravelly with emotion. "Hard to believe it's been that long since I first rolled into Salem." Alex, curious, pressed further. "What brought you here, Steve? What's the story?" The room grew quiet as Steve's gaze drifted to a distant time. "Funny you ask, kid," he said, a wry smile tugging at his lips. "It all started with your Uncle Victor." The name hung in the air like a storm cloud. Victor Kiriakis, a titan of power and manipulation, had hired Steve decades ago for a mission fueled by vengeance. "He wanted me to take down Bo," Steve admitted, his voice heavy. "That feud cost me my eye, lost it in a fight over a woman, of all things." The table fell silent, absorbing the weight of his words. Steve had been a bitter man then, hardened by betrayal and loss, but Salem had changed him, or rather Kayla had. Flashbacks to a love that healed as Steve spoke. The scene shifted in the minds of those present, pulling them back to the 1980s. They could almost see a younger Steve, rugged and defiant, sitting in a dimly lit room as Kayla, a nurse with a heart of gold, tended to his wounds. Her hands were gentle as she cleaned the scars of his past, carefully removing his iconic eye patch. "You're not a freak, Steve," she had whispered, her voice a balm to his wounded soul. They had stood together on the streets of Salem, worrying over a young boy named Max, who had lost an eye just like Steve. In those moments, Steve had begun to see himself not as an outcast but as a protector, a role he would embrace for decades. Back at the bistro, Steve's voice softened as he looked at Kayla, who sat beside him, her hand resting on his. "I was a mess back then," he admitted. "But Kayla, she saw something in me I couldn't see myself. She loved me when I didn't deserve it." His words hung in the air, a testament to a love that had weathered storms of every kind. Kayla's eyes shimmered with tears, and she squeezed his hand, a silent promise that their bond was unbreakable. A family reunited by Adrian's grace. Steve's story didn't end with Kayla. He turned to Jack, his brother, and spoke of Adrian, their sister, whose fierce love had pieced together their fractured family. The room seemed to flicker with another memory, a moment when Adrian, with unwavering determination, had revealed to Steve that she was his sister. She had painstakingly rebuilt their family tree, connecting Steve, Jack, and their younger sister in a bond that no tragedy could sever. "Adrian gave me a family when I thought I'd lost everything," Steve said, his voice thick with gratitude. Jack, ever the storyteller, picked up the thread. "Steve's always been the rock of this family," he said, his eyes glinting with admiration. "He's the guy who'd give you the shirt off his back, or, in my case, a kidney." The table erupted in laughter, but the sentiment was profound. Years ago, Steve had donated a kidney to save Jack's life, a selfless act that had cemented their brotherhood. Raising his glass, Jack proposed a toast to Steve Johnson, Salem's first anti-hero, and the room clinked glasses, their cheers echoing through the bistro. A video call and a new face. The celebration took a modern turn as Stephanie set up a video call with Trip, Wendy, and Joe, who couldn't be there in person. Their faces lit up the screen, their voices warm with congratulations. The joy was briefly interrupted by the arrival of Jada, a detective whose presence added a new layer to the evening. She apologized for her late arrival, explaining that she'd been tied up with police work. "Philip's awake," she shared, referring to a recent case that had gripped Salem. "He's undergoing tests, but he's going to be okay." Jada's words stirred another memory for Steve, one that brought a hush to the table. He spoke of Jada's father, Marcus Hunter, a man Steve had known in his youth. "Marcus and I grew up together in an orphanage," Steve said, his voice tinged with sorrow. "We reconnected as adults, but like John, he was taken from us too soon." The weight of loss settled over the group, a reminder of the fragility of life in Salem, where triumphs and tragedies were two sides of the same coin. A retirement that didn't last. As the evening wound down, Jada received a text from Kate, who needed to discuss a pressing matter. Steve pulled Jada into a warm embrace, wishing her well. But before the night could end, Jack leaned in with a request that would change everything. "Steve, one last case," he said, his tone half pleading, half teasing. "Jennifer's desperate to find Julie's missing necklace. Can you help?" Steve hesitated, his retirement barely hours old. But the pull of duty and family was too strong. He thought of Bo's recent offer to collaborate, a chance to work side by side with his old friend. Picking up his phone, Steve dialed Bo, and within moments, both Bo and Hope were on board. "I'm back in," Steve declared, a spark of his old fire returning. Jennifer's face lit up with gratitude, and she and Jack promised to visit soon as they prepared to return to Boston. A bittersweet farewell and a new tension with Jack and Jennifer gone. Only Stephanie and Alex remained with Steve and Kayla. Stephanie grinned, nudging her father. "Best retirement party ever, right?" she teased. Steve chuckled, pulling her close. "You make me proud, kid," he said, his voice warm with affection. For a moment all was right in their world. But across the room, a new tension simmered. Alex, still grappling with his place in Steve's orbit, confided in Stephanie. "I think your dad hates me," he admitted, his voice low. Stephanie laughed, brushing off his worry. "That's just his face, Alex. He's got resting grump face." Their banter was cut short by the arrival of Xander, Alex's cousin, whose stormy expression hinted at trouble. Alex shared the news of Philip's recovery, hoping to lift Xander's mood, but Xander's response was curt. "I know," he said, ordering a drink. Alex couldn't help but wonder if Xander's foul mood stemmed from fear of an impending arrest, a shadow that loomed over their family, a legacy that endures. As the night drew to a close, the bistro grew quiet, but the echoes of Steve Johnson's legacy lingered. From a vengeful loner to a devoted husband, father, and brother, Steve had carved a path through Salem that few could rival. His retirement, though fleeting, had brought his loved ones together, reminding them of the ties that bound them through love, loss, and redemption. And as Steve stepped back into the fray, one thing was certain. Salem would never be the same without him, but his heart and his fight would always belong to the town that had made him whole.